Jazakallah khairan for coming to this brief talk, inshallah, on lessons from the life of the Sahaba, or as I like to call it, the secret Sahabas. And the reason why I do that is because I'm a great believer that there's a science that hasn't been taught well for many, many centuries in the Muslim world. There are many sciences that we get really well, we've got them just right. Tafsir, hadith, the science of silsila. But to get history right, you have to see history as more than just science. It can't just be numbers, facts, and figures. If you do that, then yes, you get the technical aspects right. You know exactly how many spears were there at a certain battle, exactly how many people died, how many people were involved in certain skirmishes, but you lose the essence behind it, the meaning behind the stories. And we see this all the time. Muslims are interested in history. Everywhere you go, you find people, I want to know a little bit more, can you tell me some books that I can read? Where can I find out this information? But we find it very hard to access Islamic history. It's taught in a boring way. It's taught in a way that doesn't inspire you. So we find our kids can read the entire series of books on Harry Potter, but ask them to read one Islamic book on history, they won't get past the first page. We won't get past the first page. It's so-and-so, even so-and-so, even so-and-so, even so-and-so, met so-and-so, even so-and-so, even so-and-so. By that time, you're done. You're finished. The book is closed and you're back to Harry Potter. You're back to Lord of the Rings. And this is a huge problem for us. Because if your history isn't taught in a way that's engaging, that's inspirational, then you might as well have no history. You're cut off from it. And when you have no history, you're condemned to repeat those same mistakes again and again and again. And then eventually you have no future. This is us today, right? We are people who have very little idea of how we got to where we are. So, my hope is, you guys all know about the Sahaba. Everyone who comes into this room is a self-selected group, right? No one in this room is here because they accidentally walked in. You're already people who know in more than enough about all the Sahabas. So why are you here? Just another good way to spend your time? There's nothing better to do? There has to be something more, rather than saying the same stories in the same way at the same time. And you could read this in a book. Why do you need me? You could, there's so many different books about the Sahaba. Go online, you can read about them. So again, why are you here? Why are you in this talk? Is your time so useless? No. Hopefully, I want to move from a situation where the information is there, but it's like this. It's like an old library. Everything is dusty. Those books haven't been touched for ages. There's wisdom in there, but no one's going near that anytime soon. And to turn it into a situation where the history is relevant to us, it has an impact on us. It makes a difference to us. We can use that history for our own personal lives, or for the Islamic society, or for the community in general. That's when history comes alive, right? That's when history really makes sense. And when it's taught in a way that hopefully is inspiring, and obviously it's passionate, then hopefully that you can connect with it deeper. But my aim, inshallah, is to go through the lives of people that you already know. You know them really well, but hopefully to extract some lessons from it that we can apply, inshallah, to our own lives and to our society and our community. So let's start with Ali Radha. Ali Radha is a very interesting personality. He's someone who we see develop from a young age right until his death inside Islam. Most of the Sahaba, the big Sahaba that we know about, we see them develop from at least in their late teens, early 20s, or even later into Sahaba, right? They develop their personalities mostly. But Ali Radha is a different person. He's someone that we see develop from a young person until a much more mature adult in Islam. And there's a couple of stories I want to know about. The Prophet ﷺ was trying to invite the Quraysh to Islam. And when he was inviting the Quraysh, he decided to do what anyone else would do, what we do, right, in the Isoc all the time. Food. That's how you get people into a room to listen to you. And you hope that they come for the food and they stay for the message that happens afterwards. So he put on a banquet. And he invited all the big leaders of Quraysh. So they came. And after they finished eating, the Prophet ﷺ decided, like, now this is the time for me to give my message. And instead, he got no response. And no one would listen to him. And in this gathering, it's in his home, he's feeding them. They're still rejecting his message. And Ali radiallahu anhu decides to stand up and say, I believe in you. And everyone laughed at him. Who cares? This little kid believing in you. That story is so powerful because that was the first time we saw Ali radiallahu anhu stood up for what he believed in. And he continued to do that. When the Prophet ﷺ was leaving Mecca, who did he ask to lie in his bed, in his place? Ali radiallahu anhu. Time and time again, Ali radiallahu anhu was the one who stood up when other people didn't. Now, we're all, you guys are, I can't put myself in the young people category anymore, but you guys are in that category of young people who maybe see things in the society that we're not happy with, we think could be better. And you have a chance to be quiet and let it happen. You know, just say, oh, the stupid mosque committee, they don't know anything, or the Isoc, or whatever. Or you have a chance to stand up and be counted. You have a chance to be brave. And yes, people will laugh at you. And yes, people will discount you because what do you know? You're so small, you're so young, you're just so inexperienced. But you still stand up anyway. That is the lesson from the life of Ali radiallahu anhu. Stand up and be counted. Because when you stand up, then another one stands up, and another one, and another one. But someone needs to be the first one to stand up. And you see it all the time. When someone's being abused in public, right? If that one person, it always takes that one person to stand up, hey, stop that, that's wrong. Stop bothering those women, or stop racially abusing that person. And then suddenly 3 or 4 people join in. But that first person needs to be the one who stands up first, right? That first person needs to be there, because if he's not there, the rest of them, they don't come. Are you that person? Are you that person who looks in your community and asks yourself, where is everyone of different ethnicities? Why is our mosque so closed? Are you that person who looks around and says, why aren't there enough sisters on the committee? Are you the person who looks around and says, why are we such a self-selecting group? Why does everyone look like everyone else? Why is everyone who doesn't look like us? Or are you the person who sits back and waits? This is a lesson from the life of Ali radiallahu anhu. Another lesson from the life of Ali radiallahu anhu was from later on. When he was Khalifa, his shield was stolen from him. And a little while later, he found a Jewish man with his shield. So he said, that's my shield. And the Jewish man said, no, it's mine. Ali radiallahu anhu said, I'm sure that's my shield. The Jewish man said, no, it's mine. It definitely belongs to me. So they went to court. Bear in mind, Ali radiallahu anhu was the Khalifa. He was the leader. He had absolute authority. He didn't need to go to court. But he went to court. To a judge that he had appointed himself. And in the court, the judge said to Ali radiallahu anhu, prove it. You say this is your shield, prove it. So Ali radiallahu anhu said, this is my son Hassan. He will bear witness. And Hassan radiallahu anhu said, yes, that's my father's shield. I've seen him with it many times. What did the judge say? He said, no. I know that this is the son-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ and the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. I know this is the grandson of the Prophet ﷺ. But a son's witness for the father is not acceptable. Of course the son is going to support the father. That doesn't count. Do you have anyone else? Ali was like, I don't know anyone else who attests to this. Okay, then it belongs to the Jew. When the Jew saw this, he literally said, I testify that it actually belonged to you and I stole it, and I testify that Muhammad ﷺ is the last messenger of Allah. And he said that about Rasulullah. So he became Muslim on the spot. What was this? What had Ali radiallahu anhu shown us? Ali radiallahu anhu could have just enforced his view on the judge. We're not going to a judge. I appointed the judge. And the judge could have taken Ali radiallahu anhu's side. It's very difficult to go against. You're standing and in an argument between Ali radiallahu anhu and Hassan radiallahu anhu against someone who's not from your community. It's very easy to take the side of the people from your community. Neither of them did that. They accepted the verdict. They couldn't prove it. Brothers and sisters, this justice, even against ourselves, this is a principle that you don't find today amongst us. How many of us are willing to admit that we are not just people as Muslims and the Muslim societies? They're not full of justice, are they? If they were, none of us would be here. Right? Our parents didn't come here because they love the tropical weather and the good food of the UK. They decided to all move here. They decided to move here because there's economic opportunity and there's justice here, which there is none back where we come from. Back where we come from, it doesn't matter whether what's right or wrong. It matters who you are, how much money you have, and how much power and influence you have. This is not the lesson that we learn from the life of Ali radiallahu anhu. Admit it, try it on yourself. When you're in an argument with someone, when you are against someone, ask yourself before you try to do an injustice to someone, ask yourself, have I done the right thing? Am I wrong? This is again the lesson for the life of Ali radiallahu anhu. Then we have Uthman radiallahu anhu. And Uthman radiallahu anhu, we all know his nickname was Uthman Ghani, right? The rich. Uthman radiallahu anhu, again, was one of the greatest Sahaba, the third Khalifa. And he had a very interesting life. He was a rich man, but there were many other rich men at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. They were not all poor, there were other rich men. But he did something interesting with his money. There was a well that the Muslims used to go to get water from. It had particularly sweet water, and it was some distance from Medina. It was nearly on the way to Quba, right? So if you guys go to Masjid Quba, if you've been to Medina, it's a distance, especially if at that time they're walking and the heat. So the people used to go to that well to get the water, and it was very expensive, and it was hard work. And Uthman radiallahu anhu, he decided to go to the owner of the well, and he said to him, the owner was not Muslim, and he said, I'm going to buy half the well from you. So what does it mean buying half the well? It means that one day it belongs to me, so alternate days they share ownership. And the non-Muslim owner, he said, fine, great. And he offered him a lot of money, and the non-Muslim owner took it. And then what Uthman radiallahu anhu did was he said, the water is free on my day. It's completely free on my day. So when the water was free on his day, everyone decided to go get double the water on Uthman radiallahu anhu's day, and none of the water on the other day. The other guy got bankrupted. And he told Uthman, I'll take the other half as well. I don't need it. It's not going to be useful to me. This is a lesson from the life of Uthman. What's the lesson that we're learning from this? The lesson that we learned from this well, and this is a favorite well, like the Prophet ﷺ and the big Sahaba used to like to go and spend time near the well because it's a hot desert area. So if you hang around near a well, it's a little bit cool air and cool water is there. So Uthman radiallahu anhu is teaching us a lesson in how to give your money in sadaqah. Be strategic in how you give money. Not like we are today. We are, alhamdulillah, there's many negative things about the Muslim community. One of those positive things is that actually we're quite good in giving sadaqah. We're the most charitable community in the UK. With everything else, we're also the highest proportion in prison and illiteracy and heart attacks. But at charity, we're also number one, mashallah. That's the only good thing I think. But we're not strategic at all in our charity. At all. Right? We're emotional. Whatever happens to be on TV, whatever Fox News or Sky News or BBC or Facebook tells us is in the news, that's what we're giving to. Right? And you see all the time. Syria was in the news, people, Syria. Syria's off the news, Yemen. As Syria stopped being a problem. Then the Rohingya were in the news, give the money to the Rohingya, then they stopped, then it's just like whatever the news tells us is important, then we give the money to that. And there's no strategy at all. As a community, we have no strategic thinking. How many charities are there right now that exist to help the people of Syria? Not one or two, hundreds. There's Syria Relief, Muslims for Syria, Students for Syria, Syrian Ambulance Relief, Syrian Families Relief, Doctors for Syria, Nurses for Syria, Syrian Birmingham Association. Every single name, you could just take 3 words together, put the word Syria in, and I guarantee you there's a charity by that name. Right? Because no two people will meet together and they'll be like, they don't want to work together, they will just do whatever they want. Does it make sense? Are we really helping them? 500 CEOs, we're paying the salary for 500 CEOs, 500 social media managers, 500 offices, 500 janitors, 500 headquarters. Who's really benefiting? Not the people of Syria. And most of them, mom and pop stores, right? The office is like 3 people. And if you go to the Charity Commission, you see the state of Muslim charities. So many of them are doing poorly. What's going on here? There was this fad at the time of the Syrian crisis. There were loads of brothers, mashallah, that get together. I'm not disparaging them, but I'm just saying, look at this, there's no strategic thinking here. They would be like, we need to help them. Let's buy an ambulance. So they buy an ambulance, load up the ambulance with baby food and Pampers or whatever they can think of. They're not even thinking about what they actually need, right? Just load it up with stuff. And then auntie, uncle, give us money, take raw cash and then drive down to Syria. We're driving to Syria. First of all, when they get to the border at Dover, the border police are like, give us all the cash. Where are you going to take this cash to? You going to let you take this cash out of the country like this? You're crazy. Take all the cash. At one point, I think I heard that they were taking £250,000 in Muslim charity was being seized at Dover in these ambulances because they're just driving down left, right, and center. Second of all, they don't think how they're going to make it to Syria. So halfway, they're literally driving through Europe, and half the food is eaten all the way because they're getting hungry, and it's going off. The ambulance is right to Syria. They're like, how are we going to get into Syria? It's a war zone. No, actually, we didn't actually think about this. But when they actually get into Syria, all through everything they are, and they're trying to help people, people are like, oh great, you've got an ambulance. Where's the hospital? Where are you going to take them to? Oh, we didn't think that far ahead. Do you realize that ambulances are being specifically targeted by the airstrikes? No, we didn't think that far ahead. Okay. Where's the medicine that's going to go in the ambulance? You're just going to take them from one place to another, like what is a glorified taxi service. I'm not disparaging the work that was done, the effort, the sincerity is there. The strategic thinking, not really. And I'm just brutally honest, right? It's not actually what's best for the people, it's us being reflexive. This is a lesson from the life of Uthman. He was strategic in his thinking. How can I, otherwise just go and just like, oh, I'll buy the whole well, I'll pay triple. I'm like, no, it's not how it works. It's not how it works. Another lesson from the life of Uthman was the Quran itself. You know, the Quran was being written even in the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ, on parchments, on skin, on bone, fragments. Everyone's writing their own bits and pieces. Everyone had bits of the Quran. Nobody had, well, very few people had probably a whole Quran, but they had bits of it. And over time, it was realized that we're running into problems here because there are different Quran, different Tilawah. People have different, it wasn't revealed as we have today.